Yeah, obviously a big win for us going into the All-Star break. We had talked about, sitting at 2-2. I think going into the break at 3-2 versus 2-3 was pretty big for momentum as we look towards the second half of the year. So definitely not pretty today, and credit to the Redwoods for scrapping and playing tough. But we were able to scrap and claw and put one more up on the scoreboard. So that's all that really matters, and feels good to get a win.
We're going to open up for questions.
Hey, Marcus. Joe Keegan here. This Redwoods defense gives so many offenses problems with their slide and recover scheme. How are you guys able to really – seems like every time you guys play them, solve them by the end of the game?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty early on. I think maybe the first possession, I think Epple comes up off the pipe and hits Tom, right out of the gate, right? So he's obviously a tremendous player, and, you have to be aware of him because – he'll take your head off if you come through the middle. So I thought early on we were just kind of feeling it out, and Kelly made a couple saves early. But, I think we just kind of grinded them with some ball movement. I felt like, when we dodge and then we pass multiple times and we can kind of get the ball going from wing to wing or getting the ball through X, we had some good success. And then we kind of went to the invert in the second half, and we even were going like double invert against them. I think that kind of gave them some trouble. So good adjustments on our half by Coach Bates, and I think guys just doing their jobs, and we were able to put up one more than they did. It wasn't pretty, but rarely will 10 goals win you a game in this league, so that's a credit to our defense just doing their job as well.
Hey, Marcus, Jack Goods here from USA Lacrosse Magazine. First off, could you talk us through that play that led to the 2-point goal at the end of the first half? And secondly, just how big of an emotional impact do you think that had?
Yeah, well, coming out of the timeout, our plan was to just try and get a pick for Tom on the wing and just kind of let him sweep over the top and do his thing. But the Redwoods kept switching the short stick onto a different guy. So I think part of being a great player at the pro level, like the difference between college and pro, is just the ability to just think on the fly and play fast. So it ended up being me that went up to set a pick for Tom, and it was 2 poles on the pick, and I think that might have confused them a little bit. And I just slipped the pick, and Tom obviously Tom puts the ball right on your stick. So all I literally had to do is catch. I kind of just hucked it at the goal as hard as I could. But going into halftime, 5-3 versus 5-5. I felt personally that it was a spark for our team, and I wanted to kind of provide that momentum. And get guys excited in the locker room. So, a little bit of luck, never hurt anybody, I guess. When you shoot 100, 200 shots during the week, hopefully that practice pays off, and I think it did there.
Hey, Marcus, it's Dan Arestia. You get Connor Fields back this week in the 19-man, active in the lineup. What's it like getting him, reacclimated into the offense, even considering that Grant isn't back with you guys yet?
Yeah, Well, with the Grant thing, obviously we've kind of just known that we're going to have to be fluid with personnel, and we've experimented with guys in different places. Matt Moore has been a guy that's switched around a lot. Today we started Fields down at attack. I came out of the box early, and I think guys just being team players and being willing to play different spots. Sometimes you're going to be an off-ball guy, sometimes you're going to be a dodger. So it was great to see Connor out there. Drew a big flag at the end for us, had an assist. I'm not sure if he scored or not, but he's another just threat that you have to slide to him because he's so dangerous against the short stick. And, the way that he dodges it's like he doesn't look like he's even beating his guy, and then he'll just score. So it was great to see him back out there and just adding, a kind of another chess piece to our offense.
We're going to take one more question from Marcus.
Marcus, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. That game was honestly one of the best games I've seen this year, just from a terms of aggressiveness from both sides. Connor DeSimone had another great game, 2 goals and an assist. What have you seen from him not only today, but in the beginning of the year, just not only in the absence of Grant, but just stepping into the offense as a rookie?
Yeah, I just, again, I'm so proud and impressed with our rookies. This is a hard league to crack into for any first-year player, and for guys to come in and accept their roles and Connor's just been great. He's such a really, really smart lacrosse player, one of the smartest guys I've been around. So he's in the right spot a lot. And he also, he knows his role. I think he got a ride back today and, had an opportunity maybe to like force one and, ends up moving the ball on. And I think we ended up scoring on that possession. So it's like just balancing that aggressiveness with also smart play. But, Connor, Matt, John Robbins is a guy like nobody talks about, but as our fifth defenseman, he, gets the ball off the ground. He's great on the wings for us. So it's exciting. I think our pieces are starting to come together here, and I'm excited for the second half of the year.
Thanks, Marcus.
Thanks, guys.
Just proud of our organization. You're going into a game at 2-2, and with the break looming, a win is over 500, a loss is under, and everyone counts in this league. The way the playoffs are designed, you got to stack wins to keep yourself alive in that race. And for us, we continue to grow, we continue to get better, and that's a tough matchup against those guys. They've got all the talent in the world, and to do what we did, to come up with the plays on offense in crucial moments, to make some stops down the stretch. Just really proud of my teammates, our coaches, and honestly, I think I attribute a lot to our culture, team first.
We'll open up for questions.
Yeah, Adam, Joe Keegan with the PLL. You guys were comfortable switching those picks with Rob Pennell back there behind the cage. Obviously, have a ton of trust in your short stick teammates who have been there for a while, and Jeff Trainer's now in the rotation there down on defense this year. Can you just talk about what the approach is against Rob, against those actions, and the trust that you have in those D-mids?
Well, we certainly trust all our shorties in any matchup and anywhere on the field. I would redefine comfortable in that statement. You can never be comfortable anytime Rob has the ball, whether it's against a shorty or a pole. And I thought they did a good job of trying to make and create those mismatches. But, so sometimes you just got to take away the first initiation and then react off it. And we've got some strong athletic dudes that are protecting the net. And, still an area where I think we can improve is in that big little invert game. And we'll continue to take a look at that and find ways to be better in what we're trying to accomplish in our strategy and keep moving forward there. But, we got versatile guys that can play defense, run the field, and, they're only getting started, in my opinion, still finding that chemistry, and top to bottom, great leadership from those guys today against some big boy matchups. Let's go. These guys don't care about the goalie. They want the goal scorers.
Hey, kids. It's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Talking about, the grittiness of the defense in front of you out there. Can you just talk about, the presence and the force that Graham Hossack is, out there kind of being a general for this defense, leading the way out there along with guys like John Robbins, Matt McMahon. But just talk about, the force that Graham is and the presence that he provides to have him in front of you. How comfortable does that make you?
When you can look at an opponent's roster and just say, all right, Graham Hossack, that provides a lot of comfort because you don't have a guy like Graham. Guys like Rob can turn the corner 6, 7, 8 times, and you make it really tough for him. And I'll give Rob Pennell credit. Been playing against him for a long, long time. That is one of the toughest efforts I've ever seen out of him. A lot of credit to Rob. But a great matchup that you always kind of got a circle between him and Graham. And, again, defense isn't all about having one cover guy. It's about having guys who play different roles. And you need a second guy. You need a third guy. You need guys who pick up ground balls. You need guys who communicate. And, I think we're continuing to define those roles. And, having the leadership of Scott Ratliff down there, Matt McMahon with his experience, a guy like John Robbins can come in and play freely, and he's picking up big-time ground balls for us. It's, you got a lot of defensemen with different personalities that can come up with different plays, and I just thought everyone was focused in and dialed on this effort tonight. And, again, top to bottom, just a gritty performance from our defense, making a lot of crucial stops there down the stretch.
We're going to take one more question for Adam.
Hey,
DJ.
Adam, it's Dan Arestia. As you look and prepare for a game against the Woods, you look at their roster, you see Miles, you see Perkovic, you see Bertrand, even Nakai has shown shooting range. You're probably expecting to see some twos and some shots from distance. Does that kind of change the way you think about coming into a game, thinking I might see a little more from distance today than usual? Do you change preparation at all for something like that?
No, you'll just hear me say no twos about 10,000 times from Friday through the fourth quarter. So, our guys understand that that's a tough situation for a goalie, and when personnel in the other team shows those threats, it's I think that helps us. It helps us get out on those guys and play them on the perimeter, and it's like fire versus fire, our D-middies versus their guys. It's just size and strength and power going against each other, and I think it's a great matchup for us that we're always excited about, and we did a great job. I obviously didn't get one right. I mean, unless I'm wrong. So great execution by our defense. That's certainly part of the game plan, is to take that away from teams. If we force teams to shoot ones on us, you're going to see this outcome, we believe. We'll keep teams at 10 and under if we can take that shot out of the game, and that requires a lot of IQ and communication, and our guys did a great job there tonight. Thanks, guys.
Well, I think, anytime in this league you hold somebody to 9 goals, you're doing something right. And, for us, I can't give more credit possibly to Coach Resch and the leadership on that end of the field, right? There's just, from a week-long prep standpoint, they just do a solid job, and you can see that translate. It's not to say we don't make mistakes, but there's a lot of bend, don't break. So, just pleased with what we did on that end of the field. I thought we started slow. Offensively, I'm the head coach, but I'm also the offensive coordinator. And, frankly, the first half was frustrating. I'll say that and put that mildly. Marcus's goal notwithstanding, that gave us a little bit of energy, but I thought we didn't do our job on that end of the field. You got to earn skips in this league, and I thought we were kind of cavalier with the ball and forced ourselves to play more defense than we needed to. I think an understated, we didn't win faceoffs early, but then I thought Justin Inacio had a great game and gave us energy there, and our wing play was good, and it picked up our momentum. We scrapped and clawed. And then, as the game wore on, we just simplified ourselves offensively. We made an adjustment or two, and then just some guys make plays that the pass Will Manny makes to Marcus to finish that ball. It's like, that's just special lacrosse, and those guys having that relationship and trust and just putting the ball in the back of the net. So, coming out of last week, we've talked a lot about execution of 1-goal games, and we're thrilled to come away against a really good team with a W going into the break.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Coach Bates, Joe Keegan with the PLL. We saw a bunch of different attack lines. I think Manny Fields, DeSimone, even saw Tom Schreiber rotating in there a little bit. Was there one look that you liked the most, or did you like the fact that you had multiple looks?
I think we want to keep defenses on edge to some degree and mix and match our matchups. Fieldsy getting back in the lineup was we had to see what that looked like. He can obviously operate below goal line. Tom down there occasionally gives us a different look. Connor DeSimone had a really good game. And then, Will and Marcus are foundation guys down there, right? I mean, they're, Will didn't shoot the ball as well as he normally does, but he just, he put pressure on the goal, made some really good feeds. So, at the end of the day, we're trying to, tweak and find the right mix. And, ultimately, we did some big little and invert that I thought helped us. So, again, just trying to find the right combination.
Coach, it's Dan Arestia. You mentioned, Will and Marcus as foundational guys and their special connection. The two of them combined to take a little more than half of your team's shots tonight. I think, for a lot of teams, they might not like to see that kind of thing on the score sheet. Is it a little bit different when it's those two guys who are doing it?
They're two of the all-time great finishers in this league, without a doubt. I mean, it bears out statistically, right? I thought Jack Kelly did a hell of a job early. Like, he stood on his head. But, I thought we adjusted and had a little more ball movement. But, those two shooting the ball is okay with me. And then, we want Tom to be as aggressive as possible. And we can come at you a bunch of different ways, right? So I thought we did enough tonight to win. It wasn't our best offensive performance. But, to answer your question, those two guys can, if their hands are free, I'll take those percentages.
Coach, Jack Goods here. And we've obviously talked a lot about, you guys aren't lacking talent on offense, but to be sitting here at 3-2 without Grant, what does that say for just all the guys that have stepped up early on this season?
This is a really good team, and Grant's a good player who's not with us right now. He'll be back. For us, I think it's about culture. I think it's about discipline and doing the right thing. So we want to be interchangeable in everything we do, and I think that bears out in how we've evolved. So we're a work in progress, without a doubt. We'll take a hard look at ourselves. We want to peak at the right time. So we got 3 weeks. We just said before the game, this is July 1st. Our next game is July 24th. So we got a lot of development to continue. Hopefully get Grant back, excuse me. And again, it just adds another piece that's dangerous for us. Another guy that, is dangerous on ball, putting it at the back of the net, but also feeding and making other guys better.
We'll take one more question for Coach.
Coach Bates, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. You guys made an adjustment going into that third quarter, early in that third quarter, to go ahead and double pull the face-off. Can you talk to me about what that adjustment did and how much of an impact that ended up having on the end result of this game?
No, I think it had a big impact, frankly, and I'll give credit to the long polls and the adjustment per se, but I thought Justin did a nice job. Face-offs in this day and age, a guy can get it up and out into himself before the wings even get in the play. So the fact that Justin, made it a unit versus a unit, a 3v3, I'll take us, and we came up with some big ground balls. The ball bounced our way a time or two, which was good, which we haven't had. So just to make it a 3v3 and give us energy and come up with some big ones. Justin had a tough week last week, against an MVP caliber, Trevor Baptiste. So I think he put pressure on himself. But we talked about face-offs all week long. We had a Zoom about face-offs. We challenged our guys to be better there. And I think Justin did a good job rising to the occasion. And, again, lost the first couple and put us on our heels a little bit from a possession standpoint. But as the game wore on, it just, you could feel us gain more confidence. And, anytime Rat or Jared Connors or John Robbins or Graham Hossick's on the wing, they're going to wreak some havoc out there. And we ended up getting some balls and possessions. And if we give ourselves, the ball, that means our opponent doesn't have it. And then, we can get a little confidence, settle ourselves down, and I'll take us in a half-field set.
Thanks, Coach.
See y'all. Happy 4th.
It was another one-goal loss for us. I'm proud of the guys and the way that we played. Just a few plays here and there that didn't go right for us. You got credit to the Archers. They played till late in the shot clock. They played till late in the second half. I think 3 goals were worth less than a second left in the second half and 2 seconds left in the shot clock. And in a 1-goal game, those are that's 3 seconds that that they played and then finished the play. So credit to them. Gittleman played great in goal. They're a solid team. I thought we played well and played well against them all game. It's just in a 1-goal game, it's those little plays that make a difference. And we just had to Archer just made a few more than we did today, and that was the difference.
We'll open for questions.
Hey, Rob, Joe Keegan with the PLL. First half, you had some success going right at Graham Hossick, one-on-one. Third quarter there, started going to more big littles. Fourth quarter, that second to last possession with 2 minutes left, you had the ball there. It looked like Jules was going to set a pick for you. What'd you see on that possession there with the opportunity to tie?
I think we saw the big little. They were switching, and when the short stick was behind, they were quick to go, and I thought we were getting some good looks out of it, and then we got some good shots. We did a good job of trusting it and playing to it, and it's just a matter of canning a few more opportunities there. I don't remember the exact possession that you are talking about. I think we got a good shot. Perk got a good look there, and Miles got a good look. We had good opportunities, and we we're sharing the ball, and we're moving the ball on offense, taking steps in the right direction. We just got to start finishing some of those plays, and I don't think it comes down to one possession ultimately. I thought we played well on offense for the most part.
Rob, DJ here with the Outside the Box podcast. There were times where the sub game took 30 to 40 seconds, leaving the offense with 20 to 15 seconds to initiate. It seemed like a problem at times because then it's not really giving the offense a lot to work with. What is the answer there? What is really What are you guys going to do really to combat that and kind of work through our transition faster to get offense more time?
Yeah, it's definitely a point of emphasis for us. It was before the game, and it will be into the second half of the season. As a guy who plays attack, don't find myself, on the sideline much by the box. I'm not quite sure, honestly, what goes on over there. I think we just have to be more organized, it really begins with hustling on and off the field and beating the whistle. And I think we have to start to do that better as well.
We'll take one more question for Rob.
Rob, going into the All-Star break here with a few weeks off, what does this team? What are the keys for this team in that time off going into Fairfield?
I think it's important not to panic. The last two games, aside from the outcome, have been steps in the right direction, I think, for this team comparative to how we started the season. And, we have to turn those 1-goal games into wins. And bottom line is we're 1-4, and every game is going to be a playoff game for now. Garrett Apple just made that point in the locker room, and we got to look at ourselves in the mirror and see what we need to do better ourselves to help this team. What are the little things we can do, get the stick in our hands and take advantage of these 2 weeks and come back ready to play in Fairfield. And I think it's a needed break for us and just to take a deep breath. And I'm very excited to get after the second half of the season with this group, the way things are going, and I think this will be good for us. But we'll be ready to go when we get back.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Yeah, I just, it's tough to keep losing 1-goal games. I think we're still continuing to trend in the right direction, what we want to do. I think our guys battled. We played hard. We had some lapses that really, hurt us. I think it's hard to put it on one play. But, overall, we're still trying to figure some things out, and I think we have. And we just got to get better at what we're trying to do. There's certain areas that we got to continue to improve on that, it's certainly frustrating, but, I love this locker room. I do. I just told the team that. I love this group. I have a lot of faith in this group. We've had our backs against the wall. I think that's the story of the Redwoods since the beginning. And we've always found a way to respond. So we've proven that we can beat and play with the best teams in this league. And, everybody's good, and we think we are too. And we just got to take a deep breath, look forward to going to the All-Star break. And a lot of great things happen out of All-Star breaks. Every league, different NHL, Major League Baseball. We saw what the chaos has done in the past. So we're certainly not out of anything, but, we cannot feel sorry for ourselves whatsoever.
Awesome. We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Nat, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Charlie Bertrand in the starting lineup at midfield, Miles Jones off that first midfield line. What went into the decision?
I just think that, it came down to a little bit of performance there. And, Miles had a tough game and some turnovers, and Charlie was playing really well, so we wanted to go with the hot hand. And I thought, I told Miles tonight, I know he didn't love it because he's a competitor, and that's what he is, and that's what he does. He didn't like not being in the starting lineup, but I thought he responded extremely well tonight in the role we asked him to play. Went out and scored some goals, had a great look late, when he was getting doubled. And, sometimes as a coach you have to make these decisions, and it's tough because we've been with these guys for a really long time, and they're the best in the world. They're super competitive, and they take it personally. And, we're trying to find, the right mix, and we think that we're very close. But I'm very proud of him. He responded extremely well. He handled it like a professional. I know he was upset and frustrated with me with the decision, but I thought, it got his attention, and he was settled down, and he played really well.
Hey, Coach, it's KB.
How you doing, bud?
Obviously, last week in the press conference, you had mentioned that the goalie battle was kind of back open. Jack Kelly gets the start tonight. Can you just talk about his performance and, the decision-making process throughout the week that went into Jack getting the nod, and how do you think he played tonight?
Yeah, at halftime, right off the top of my head, I wanted to kind of see where the stats were, and he was saving the ball at halftime at 60%. Joe Keegs, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what the halftime stats were, and I don't know what they were at the end of the game, but we hadn't had a save percentage at 60 in quite a while. So, I thought it was great with him in the goal. He's very calm, he's very present, and the 1-2 right before the end of the game was a backbreaker at halftime, but, unfortunately one of our guys ran his way and he just could not see the ball. So, I thought he played well overall. Little concerned with the knee and a couple of the collisions in the goal with him, but I thought he played well overall. Again, I don't know what the final number was. To get to that point, it was talking with Timmy. He understood right away. We told Timmy right after the game against the Whipsnakes that night, just so Jack could have the week to mentally prepare himself, and I thought he did a great job.
Hey, Coach, it's Dan Arestia. You dressed 2 short stick D mids in the 19 tonight, and then we saw Nakai on that end quite a bit and having some success down there.
Yep.
Given how well Nakai has played on both ends, but in particular on the defensive end, do you think a 19-man roster for you with only 2 shorties and then using him a little more is something you're going to do more often, or do you like having the 3 short stick D middies on the roster?
I like having Nakai on the field. I think he's really settled in. I think way back in training camp, we were scrimmaging the Water Dogs, and there was a play where one of their better players, who I think is probably one of the best in this league, Zach Courier, tried to isolate him and didn't beat him cleanly, and you don't see that very often. And then tonight, I think Tommy Schreiber went at him one-on-one, and I think he did a great job and caused a turnover there. So I think you're going to see more of him. I like his growth. He's got a great defense behind him with those guys that are going to teach him and bring him along, and CC does a good job with that side of the ball. So I think it's something we've been working on. It's been a work in progress. And listen, I think we've played 5 or 6 rookies this year, trying to find guys to roll and put them in a situation to be successful, and I think we're finding that role for Nakai right now.
We'll take one more question for Coach.
Coach Matt, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. Matt Kavanaugh's had a tough start to the year. Are you and the coaching staff looking to do anything to help him find his groove? Or are you guys hoping to kind of give him some space over All-Star break and he'll find his mojo himself?
I think we're all going to do that. That's great. That's something that we're working through right now. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to insert Joe Robertson in the lineup tonight. And, that was made possible because, Perkovic was finally healthy, and he called me and said, Coach, I can take some defensive shifts. And we knew that between Perk and Nakai, we could fill that third short stick role that Dan was referring to. And, we want to get Matt going. We got a lot of love for him and support of him. And we know once he gets going, we'll move forward. But, at some point, like we did with Miles, we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And Matt's a great team player. He's an ultimate competitor. And, I know he's frustrated right now, but he's going to come around.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think that, look, I'm sure Rob and Coach Nat summarized it the same way, but when we get teams to play us 6-on-6 and don't allow teams to play transition against us, we can win games and we can get stops, and we proved that today. And I thought we matched up well, and we had a really good game plan, and I thought we played well. And look, we gave up 10 goals and gave them a lot of opportunities. And so, you want to look at it half full or half empty. You can use what I just said, but we're right there. And we have an all-star break coming up, and maybe some much-needed time to reflect on how we've been playing as a unit, but more importantly, how we've been playing as a group together, particularly between the arcs. And I told the guys in the locker room, we really need to not feel sorry for ourselves, but we need to be honest with each other and with ourselves and think about what we need to improve on. Efforts there, skills there, but there are just little things that all of us as a group need to dial in and focus on in order to go on a run on the back half of the season here, because we are playing playoff lacrosse now.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Eddie, Joe Keegan with the PLL. The Archers were in here talking about how out of timeouts or possession by possession, your short sticks were on different people. What was the idea there on mixing up those matchups?
Yeah, out of timeouts. Look, teams are going to strategize against the Archers. Schreiber's the best player in the world. And, Matt Moore has been having a great season, and the stats don't lie. I think unassisted goals on a percentage basis, he was leading the league coming into this game.
But we weren't going to be in this scenario where middle of possessions we're trying to get pulls on middies and switching matchups and stuff. But out of timeouts, obviously when they come out and design plays, you know who they're looking to initiate from. And so when we came out of timeouts, there were some instances where we put some shorties on attackmen, made sure that we would pull Schreiber and Moore and try to force them to play one-on-one ball as opposed to team offense. And it worked in some instances, obviously did not in others. But our philosophy's been, you got to be able to guard everybody on the field. You can't be on the field if you can't guard an attackman or get switched up top and have to play midfield. We'll switch picks if we have to. We're not trying to fight through and keep matchups. So, yeah, I mean, they play two-man games, and we had shorties on the Holman, shorties on DeSimone, what have you. You just got to play.
Eddie, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. We're used to seeing this defense fly around and slide early, help each other out, but we're also used to seeing the backside there for the help. This year, that's been a little bit of a problem. The backside rotations haven't really been there. Is it a lack of awareness? Is it a simple communication issue, or is it something bigger?
It's a good question. Look, you need to strategize your defensive game plan based on who you're going to be playing. And the Archers are a team, and the Atlas were similar, and we're playing them out of the break. Teams that punish you for playing too much help defense. Yes, if guys get open off of dodges and beat guys one-on-one, we have to go. We're not going to let guys score on assisted goals like that. But I think that there was an extreme emphasis on making sure that we were aware of our matchups off ball, particularly when Schreiber was dodging. And in my opinion, we didn't do that very well, to your point. And I think even the instances where we had help D to like on the 2 slide and help fill the crease, that's how Manny and Holman got the looks that they got, because the second slide was showing and we didn't have someone rotating. And we gave them a lot of opportunities.
We'll take one more question for Eddie.
Eddie, it's Dan Arestia. You guys had to go without Jack Neer tonight, and I know he's been a critical part of your short stick defensive midfield personnel. How big of an impact does not having Jack Neer in the lineup have on individual matchups and your 6-on-6 scheme?
Yeah, look, we put an emphasis on it, and I reminded the guys out of the gates before practice yesterday. Jack popped his shoulder out against the Whip Snakes, diving for a shot out of bounds in the second quarter, and popped his shoulder out, and he got us possession and laid his body out for this team. And, he would have done that in overtime. He did it in the second quarter. He would have done it at any part of the game. And he's a captain of this team as well and a leader. And his absence needed to be picked up by other guys on this team. Now it's next guy up mentality, and that's across the league, and that's with this team. Jack Neer's out. We got to bring somebody in. And so, yeah, maybe we missed him because maybe there was a little bit of a delay, but I felt like the guys we had at D-Midi, IDA, Pat Harbison, Nakai, I thought played extremely well at the defensive end, finally playing with a lot of confidence as a D-Midi. That's the mentality we have to have. Guy goes down, you got to be ready. We can't sit there and feel sorry for ourselves. But there was an adjustment period for sure, and we did miss Jack. So we'll see if he is able to return post these next 2 weeks. Status is pending. But if he can't be there, then these guys got to step up.
Thanks.
Yeah, wow. It was a battle once again, and there was a lot of ups and downs. And I think for us, I wish we had that second quarterback over. It got away from us a little bit. We had to make adjustments, and I think we finally made some adjustments. And once we did that, our guys gave the effort they needed, and they executed with the things we wanted them to, and it got us back in the game. And then at the end, I just think they made a couple more plays than we did, and we had some great opportunities on offense, hit 3 or 4 pipes, Defensively, we needed the ball back a couple times, got it back, and it just a little short. But it was two great teams going at each other, and our goal is to rebound next time and come back and do what we need to do.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Coach Monty, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Last week, we know it was Jesse Bernhardt in the locker room at halftime who sparked that comeback. What was it this week that went into that comeback from down 12-6?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. We didn't want to lose our cool. We wanted to basically figure out what the problems were and problem solve and not get crazy. Last week, I think we needed the motivation, and it was great by Jesse. This week, it was, just fix some of the things that were a little broken, and we made the adjustments, and we got back on task, and we figured out how we could, remedy those things and do the things that we want to do as a Chrome lacrosse team.
Coach, Jack Goods here from USA Lacrosse Magazine. Obviously, Trevor deals with an injury there that I think kind of opens the door for you guys to be able to make that comeback as well. It's just from your perspective, how impactful do you think that was on the end of the game?
It was very impactful. I mean, whenever you don't have the ball, it's tough for you to get into a rhythm. It's tough for you to have the ball to score. And he was presenting a lot of issues early on. And it wasn't just him, it was the rope unit. They were putting pressure on us in transition. We had to adjust to that. And, when he, was a little banged up in the second half, it allowed us to get back into a rhythm, get possessions. Connor did a great job, doing what he needed to do at that time. And we got the ball, and we started to be able to do the things we needed to do.
Hey, Coach, this is Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Back-to-back weeks now, you guys have seen Mike Messenger's presence really be felt. He led the team tonight and caused turnovers, got on the scoreboard again. Can you just talk about, his importance to this locker room and, what he's able to do out on the field as kind of a Swiss Army knife for you guys, playing that short stick D-midi, but also being very offensive-minded as well?
Yeah, Mike, Mike brings it every single week, and he's a professional, and he, I love him as a defensive player, number one, and he's adjusting from the box indoor to the outdoor, and he's done that very well. He obviously, has that offensive presence, so when he does get the ball, it does create some issues for the other team between the arcs. And if they don't adjust, you saw tonight that he can put the ball in the net. And I think all three of our D-middies can do that, and I think that's a huge asset of our team. And, everybody's got roles on our team, and that's a great thing about our team. Our team, people have their roles, and they step up, and when they step up, we're a tough team to beat.
Take one more question for Coach.
Coach, this is Dan Arestia. Last week you guys used a 6-goal run to get back in the game with the Cannons. You used a 6-goal run tonight to tie the game at 12. What is it about this group that lets you get back in there with runs that are that one-sided? A 6-0 run in the PLL is not easy to do, and you guys have done it 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, unfortunately we've seen it because it's not easy on a coach, right? When you've got to be down that much and count on those 6-goal runs. But it speaks a lot of our guys' character, and our character is fight and work together, and we're never out of it. And when we're in huddles, what we do is we keep pushing the positives and problem solve and come up with solutions. And the guys, that's what they do. They talk through things, and then their effort. It's just their effort and energy. So great guys, great energy. Very proud to coach this group, and it's I'm looking forward to us doing it the rest of the way.
Thanks, Coach.
It was a close one. We almost had it. I had a very, very slow start in the beginning, but luckily I was able to pick it up at the end. But it wasn't good enough, and yeah.
We'll open it up for questions.
Hey, Connor, Joe Keegan with the PLL. What were some of the things that you guys as a face-off unit tried to do to counter Trevor? I think I saw Will Haas on attack. I don't know if I was seeing things or if it was that one possession, but what were you doing to try to counter him, turn it into a 3-on-3 or even a 10-on-10?
Yeah, we put our rope unit, either Will Haas or Tarafanko, down in attack. Whenever Trevor would go backwards towards his defense, we try to have Hossey or Terry jump him right there to try to slow him down a little bit or try to steal the ball from him.
Connor, DJ here. Excuse me, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. First loss of the year, obviously, for you guys. What was the atmosphere like in the locker room? Was it a lot of guys looking forward to, taking the break into All-Star and looking at the positives from this first half and looking to build upon that? Or was it kind of still a little bit down and kind of, guys really looking at themselves and looking like, oh, I could have done this better or that better, and kind of dwelling on this game a little bit?
Well, we always have a chip on our shoulder the way we've been in the past, but the boys are still hungry. They're ready to rock and roll. We wish we didn't have this break. We wish we could keep going, but the 2 weeks will be good. Rest the bodies up a little bit. Get right back at it right after All-Star break.
We'll take one more question for Connor.
I think I saw there at the end you went up to Trevor. Obviously, you saw he was fighting through a lot. What does it say to you just to see someone, at your position, what it takes to fight through what he did at the end of the game there?
Yeah, you never want to see anyone hurt or struggling like that. It could always happen to you. So I was just making sure he was all good, because it sucks to see someone struggling in that much pain. So I was just making sure he was all good like that, because off the field, we're good friends. We're pretty close. Pretty much all the face-off guys in the league. On the field, we battle. We have wars, but off the field, we're all pretty close. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think first off, you got to tip your hat to the Atlas. Great team. They played a great game tonight. Like every team in this league, they have good players. They got good coaches. They had a good plan. Definitely a hungry team right now. So you got to tip their hat to them. I give our guys credit. Obviously, not having Coach Sudo here, battling through, we've kind of put ourselves in some tough spots. I think we have a great group, in certain ways young, and we're still kind of figuring this out. I think it's still kind of in the infancy of what we've been able to do so far, but at the same time, we are pretty much halfway through the year, so take this break to try to figure some things out, and I have confidence in our group that we will.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Jesse, Joe Keegan. Jackson Morrill said on the broadcast that one of the goals that really stood out during that run, that 6-goal run, was started by Colin Heacock getting on the floor to just goose a ground ball. And Jackson Morrill spoke to the culture that you guys have created, the culture around hustle. How do you create and foster that culture that encourages plays like the one that Colin made?
Yeah, I think it's from the top down. Like any culture, it trickles down from, the guys up top, and that's, Coach Sudo, Coach Monty, Coach Kerwick, and what they kind of emphasize to us. And at the same time, it's the type of people they're bringing into, to our lacrosse club in the Chrome. And I think, that's kind of the foundation of it, is you need guys who are willing to do that kind of stuff. Not everyone is, because when you have some like-minded guys who are willing to put their body on the line, put that effort forward, then you kind of get a collective group, which I think we've been able to show at times. We just need to do more consistently.
Hey, Jesse, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Obviously, last week, your halftime speech went kind of viral. With you guys being down 11-6 in this game at halftime, what was kind of the message in the locker room to, come out? You guys go on another 6-0 run. What was kind of the pinpoints in the locker room during this game tonight?
Yeah, I think Coach Monty alluded to it earlier. No huge pump-up speech from me this week. I think, being an older guy, and we have some great older guys on this team, besides myself, it's all about finding the pulse of the team. Every week you might need a little bit different. Sometimes maybe a wake-up call like last week. I think this week it was a little different. It wasn't going the way we would have hoped in the first half, but I think to Coach's point, there were a lot of things that were correctable and we could make adjustments to. So, again, I give our group credit for having some young guys, especially in this league, just to have the poise that, hey, we could regroup at halftime, go back out there, make some adjustments. As anyone who's watched this league knows, the PLL is crazy. The swings are up and down, so you're never really out of the fight. And just having a little bit of that belief and just playing a little smarter at times, I think, goes a long way.
Hey, Jesse, it's Dan Arestia. The short stick D midi unit for your squad, I think combined tonight for 5 caused turnovers, which is not necessarily something you typically see from short stick D middies. As a close defender, what is it like for you taking the field knowing that there's the shorties out there are going to be causing turnovers just like their long poles?
Yeah, we have a fantastic group, I think. Top down, guys like, Will Hoss, who's been around for a few years. Obviously, Terafenko's got a year under his belt, and Mess, has kind of been around pro lacrosse for a little while, but a little bit newer to the outdoor game. But I think just deep down, those guys are tough, gritty dudes. So we have all the confidence in the world, when they're on the field. Obviously, I think their ability and what they do speaks for itself. And they know that. So having the ability to kind of let them do their thing, all while kind of staying within the system and the framework that the coaches lay out for us, gives us the ability to have some success and makes us a little bit more versatile, causing some turnovers maybe besides the close D guys or the poles.
We'll take one more question for Jesse.
Jesse, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. Kind of an unusual question, but you haven't lost in almost over a year, and Logan Wisnauskas hasn't lost in over a year. How does it feel to kind of be back on that side of a game?
Yeah, it's not something I think about very often. Kind of try to take things week to week. It's definitely a little different being on two sides of the fence. Obviously, Logan continues to be the player. I'm obviously old enough to now be the coach in one hand and the player on the other hand. So obviously, everyone loves to win more than than losing. I think as an older guy, time is definitely more on the short side than anything, so you got to make the most of the opportunities here. And myself included, just need some older guys to play like older guys, and guys like myself today didn't necessarily do that for a team with some young guys that needs that. So we owe it to them to make sure we're putting out a good product every week because they deserve that. So. Most people don't go through life or the PLL or any professional sports never losing. So you just got to learn from it, and that's just a bump in the road. It doesn't define, the chrome. Obviously, we've had a great season so far. It's one loss, and we just got to, learn from it and move forward.
Thanks, Jesse.
Tough game. Two of the top teams in the league. We knew it was going to be a tough one. We knew it was going to come down to the end and be close, and there were swings in the game, but just proud of how the group stayed together, especially at the end. We were able to get a stop and Jack with a massive save for us. So
awesome. We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Danny, Joe Keegan with the PLL. In a league where every team, every defense is just emphasizing getting back in the hole, preventing fast breaks, you guys are able to create so many opportunities, whether it was the break that you and Cade ran together or Cade pushing from close defense off that face-off. How are you guys able to generate so many looks when that's like priority number one on every defense's game plan going into every single game?
Yeah, as a point of emphasis going into the game, I think off the face-off we were just trying to have as much movement as possible and not just be stagnant going down the field. And then coming from our defensive end, it was just about getting the ball off the ground quick and getting numbers that way and getting some guys behind us. So we get some looks, and Cade always does an amazing job getting upfield, and our attackman did a great job communicating. So excited about how we played in transition tonight for sure.
Danny, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. You started off this year absolutely amazing. Is it a credit to work you put in over the summer? Did you change up something in your pregame, rituals, or are you literally just continuing to be the hard hat and best short stick defenseman in the league?
I think it's just another year with this group, right? When you play with the guys that I play with, it's really easy to look good. Half the time I'm out there, Tucker's telling me what to do, and we just play as a solid group together. When you play with two other fantastic shorties in Jake Richard and Peter Dirth, it's really easy to look good, and we just love playing as a unit. We're going to try to continue to do that and keep helping each other look good and get stops when we can.
Hey, Danny, Jack Goods here from USA Lacrosse Magazine. I'd be interested to know just how many two-pointers have come from short stick middies in the entire PLL history. I guess what's your kind of thought process when you pull up for that shot?
I don't know. Try not to think too much about it. All the old guys are picking it, very clean and aiming for corners and stuff. I think when we come down the field, Cade or me or Kobe, whatever it is, are just trying to put it on cage and put it on cage hard. So, hopefully we continue to get those looks and continue to push the pace in transition.
We'll take one more question for Danny.
Hey, Danny, this is Dan Arestia. As you're pulling out to a lead there, you guys go up 12-6, and then Chrome go on a 6-goal run. What are the emotions like on the defensive end of the field for you guys as that run is happening? Like, what are you thinking about ways to stop it or ways to adjust? Are you trying to just stay the course? Are you trying to change the game plan at all during that?
We're trying to make little adjustments here and there, but it's really just about taking a step back and taking a breather and trying to collect ourselves. We knew they were going to make a push. They're a really solid team, and they ride their highs really high, especially after last week with their comeback win. So we knew they were going to make a push. They're a great team, and after they get a few, it's really just about settling down, getting back to our fundamentals, talking to each other, and playing good, sound defense. So not trying to change too much, just trying to get back to what we do and what we do best. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, just to build off of what Danny said, we knew coming into this that this was going to be a battle to the end. I think the biggest takeaway for us, as a defensive unit, I think we did a great job of coming together, figuring out what we had to do to make it, one stop, one possession at a time.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Jack, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Seeing Trevor clearly injured there in the fourth quarter, battle and just go out there face-off after face-off. What, from your point of view as a teammate, what was going through your head seeing him compete like that?
I mean, Trevor is just such a warrior. He goes out there every game and leaves it all out there. He gives it everything he has. To see him go out there and play how he played against one of the top face-off guys in the league is truly incredible. And to fight through that injury, and go out there and continue winning was just unbelievable.
Hey, Jack, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Obviously, you guys now, as of tonight, are in first place going into the All-Star break. Is it one of those awkward times where, you guys want to keep riding this high and, try to keep this thing going and obviously the break hits? How do you guys kind of, keep that momentum riding throughout the bye week, the All-Star break, and then going into Fairfield so you guys can, continue pushing in the second half of the season?
Yeah, I mean, the momentum that this win, brings going into the All-Star bye week break is huge. I think we'll, try our best to, stay communicated. We'll watch film. We'll, watch what we did great today. We'll watch, and figure out what we did wrong. Continue to build that way. And again, just stay communicated. This is a tight-knit group, and I think we do a great job of doing that off the field.
We'll take one more question for Jack.
Yeah, looking ahead, way ahead now. It's 22 days out, but the Redwoods in Fairfield, what are the keys to that matchup?
Yeah, I think a little early to figure out game plan there. I think we'll watch this game. Obviously, the Redwoods have some offensive power there. We'll look at matchups and kind of figure out what the best game plan is going into that. We have some time. I think the main focus right now is getting everybody healthy, resting up, and then we'll go from there.
Thanks, Jack.
Yeah, I thought tale of two halves. I think the Chrome has shown throughout this season an ability to make a comeback, and I was definitely worried about it at halftime and then got to see it in person. I mean, when those guys go, they really go, and I thought they played a little bit better in the chaos than we did this game, and I think it's tough when you kind of lose momentum to respond. but I thought our guys made some big plays. Those 2 goals at the end, one by Teat and one by Caraway, were huge, and then I thought a couple big stops. But hats off to that Chrome team. There's a reason they came into this week undefeated. They're an extremely talented team with a ton of fight, and I knew they were good coming into it, and they were even better seeing them in person.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Ben, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Trevor came up injured towards the end of the third quarter. Going into the fourth quarter, what was the decision to leave him in, or was there any consideration to take him out and any potential risk for his long-term health?
Yeah, so I know Stephen Brooks said get him out. As you saw, he kept making his way out there. He's a warrior. As you mentioned earlier in one of your questions, he's got 22 days to get healthy. Certainly, he's a guy that I think takes care of himself as well as anybody in this league, and he's certainly a big part of this thing. So I hope he heals up. He was not pulled from the game. He's a guy that even at not 100%, we have faith in at the end of the game to make plays. I thought he had the clamp there a couple times, and we didn't come away with the ball necessarily, but a huge and gutsy win. And I think kind of the calculus was we got some time off here. He was not pulled out of the game, and go with the guy that's a winner like Trevor is.
Hey, Coach, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. First things first, I'm going to ask you the typical question. How do you feel the substitution game was in this one? And then secondly, you mentioned Jake Caraway and just the amount of guys that you have on this roster. It kind of makes it like a chessboard for you guys as a coaching staff, where you can put different guys into situations on this roster week in and week out. What was tonight's kind of, game plan with who was dressed, and especially, with Jake and Docs being out there, getting more run for them over the last 2 weeks, and obviously Jake scoring tonight. I guess what's kind of the mindset when you're going in and kind of putting this roster together on a week in and week out basis?
Yeah, I think that we've kind of taken an approach of let's try to see what the right mix of guys is here early in the season. Plus, I do think that we have some depth. So I think that we've tried to use that to our advantage. Docs had a big goal, the game winner last week. Caraway had the game winner this week. Those are 2 guys that have played in a lot of big moments, and we gave them a shot this week, and they responded. Certainly, I think we also have some depth. So I think we are going to take a look at what's the best mix for the Atlas for playing the type of lacrosse that we want to play, and we'll see what that looks like over the next week or so, and then make a decision as we go into our next game, which is going to be another challenge. I mean, a Redwoods team that I thought looked very, very good today, and was playing obviously a great Archers team, and took them to the very end. So we got to be ready for that Redwoods team. We got to quickly kind of regroup, despite the fact that we got some time off. This has got to be active recovery. This has got to be continuing to improve and take a step forward. So super proud of our guys. Winning 1-goal games in this league is not easy. Those 2 wins that we just finished up this last part of the 5-game stretch were huge. And I thought our guys in big moments made some big plays, and a lot of credit to that defense and Coach Clausen and Jack and Cannon kind of anchoring them for making some big stops at the end against some offenses that obviously have a ton of firepower.
Take one more question for Coach.
Coach, it's Dan Arestia. You get 4 points from Danny Logan tonight. You get 3 points from Cade. And kind of talked a little bit about how potent your offensive personnel is and how deep it is. Is there ever like a question for you of, man, sometimes I want these defensive guys to get it to our studs on offense? Or is it just icing on the cake when you get CVR crossing the midfield line and pulling up from 18, 19 yards and hitting it?
It's certainly not in the game plan for him to shoot from 18 out, but the standard is make the play. And we have put an emphasis on our transition offense and transition defense in this offseason. Certainly, I think some guys have made some plays. I don't really care who the goals come from or where they come. Certainly, we'd either like to score early in the shot clock or late. It's like, let's not be in that kind of middle ground, subbing our guys off, putting our offensive personnel, taking one dodge and a shot. That's certainly not the recipe. But, if we can score in transition, which we were able to do in that first half, those are great opportunities for us. And, I think Danny Logan and Jake Richard and Peter Dirth have all shown that they can handle in transition. And then you got guys like Cade who can come up from the close defense and obviously have some range on their shots. So proud of those guys and thought they did a great job tonight. We have to continue to get better 6v6 offense. I feel like it hasn't been to our potential over the last couple weeks. And, that starts with game plan and starts with coaching and then us executing on the field. So, we'll take a look at it and hopefully be better as we move forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for staying up late.
Of course.
This game against the Chaos, 48-minute game. We just spoke to the team. Our leader spoke. Our players spoke. The bottom line is we got to put 48 minutes together, right? Every team in this league is very strong, and our guys will compete that entire 48 minutes. We have not questioned them one iota throughout this season. We are where we are right now because we just got to continue to make plays throughout that 48 minutes. And that's where we're coming up a little bit short. Our guys are committed, number one, to each other and to this team like we haven't seen before. And they're ready to get to work these next 3 weeks when they have some time off to individually and collectively work, hold each other accountable so we can be better. And that goes for the coaches as well.
We'll open up for questions.
Yeah, Coach, Kevin Brown from Inside Lacrosse here. Just looked like Lyle pulled up after taking that first shot. Just how important was that to kind of the game's outcome, and how did you see him post game?
Yeah, Lyle is as much of a competitor as anyone, and the guy battles when he's out on the field, and when he's not on the field, he's the number one supporter of his teammates. We don't rely just on one guy, and Lyle knows that. Every other guy on the team knows that. But it's hard missing a player like him out on the field. There's no question about it. His leadership and what he does out on that field. But, when he did come back in, he battled like he always does, and he made some plays and put things together. And played a little bit more off ball and that sort of thing.
Hey, Coach, Joe Keegan with the PLL. You guys had your possessions, had your shots. Blaze made 20 saves. How frustrating is it going against a goalie like him? And is there an answer when he's on like that to put some past him?
Yeah, Blaze, I thought he played one of his better games today. I thought our guys shot the ball well, and he made some really good saves. I think the ones that we did score, we made him work for those, and those dropped. But Blaze had a great game, and, a lot of credit to him. He's a competitor. He's a great goalie. He's a leader out there. The guys play hard for him.
Coach Quirk, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. You guys are 2 for 13 this year on the man up to start, 0 for 2 this game. Where is the answer for that, or where are you guys starting to look to begin to change around and get that moving in the right direction?
Yeah, the personnel that's out there on man up, we believe in those guys. And it comes back to my opening statement of we just got to be a little bit sharper, right? Passes, not turning the ball over, finishing shots when we do have them. Schematically, us as coaches, putting guys in better positions to be successful. That's on the coaches here.
We'll take one more question for Coach.
Hey, Coach, it's Austin Owens with the PLL. I know early on after the game, but I was just wondering if there's any update on Tyson Bell. Obviously went down late there in the game. Obviously a guy that's played a couple different roles for you guys. Just wondering if you had any update on his status.
Yeah, we had a bunch of guys get banged up through that game. Even coming into the game, guys were banged up this time of season. But like I said, I just love these guys in that locker room. All 25 of our guys on our roster would do anything for them, and I know they feel the same way about this team. And when guys are banged up, they don't feel sorry for themselves. They get out there and go compete. Maybe at times when they shouldn't, to be honest. But Tyson's doing well. He was banged up a little bit coming into the game, and I'm just thankful that he is okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, after that game, the first takeaway, obviously Blaze played great. The credit to the Chaos, their entire team. I think for us moving forward right now, Coach Quirk had just mentioned it, we just have to put in the work over these next 3 weeks to come back and kind of make this next half of the season a brand new season for us, right? We started at training camp with a win, but then have fallen short in 4 straight games. So we're going to use these next 3 weeks to prepare ourselves individually, collectively as an entire team, get better, and put our best foot forward in Fairfield.
We're going to open up for questions.
Hey, Ryan, Kevin from Inside Lacrosse. Just not you particularly because you had a good shooting day today, but when Blaze makes 14 saves in that first half, just is there a sense of, as a shooter, just getting into your head a little bit with when a goal gets out like that early?
Not really. For us as shooters, it's all about continuing to take great shots. I think personally throughout this season so far, I haven't been shooting the way that I would like to. Probably have a pretty low shooting percentage, and so I personally, want to get better, obviously. But going into halftime, we were confident with how our offense was working. We trust the guys that take shots, and like you said, Blaze is an outstanding goalie, but that mental edge, we don't want to. Can't give that mental edge to Blaze. You got to be confident in yourself and trust the guys around you that are shooting the ball.
Hey, Ryan, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Obviously, knowing you and being around you, you're one of the biggest team guys out there. But today you did, surpass the century mark in career points. What's that mean to you? And, hitting that milestone for your career?
Yeah, I appreciate you knowing that. But to me, that means nothing. I would trade however many goals for team wins. And I say that truthfully. Didn't know that, wasn't aware that I was even close, but again, would trade any goal for a win at the end of the day.
We'll take one more question for Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, Joe Keegan with the PLL. 2 close games back-to-back here. In these 48-minute games, they just seem to fly by so quickly. Is there, any turning point that you can, pin the close games, pinpoint them on, or is there any one area that needs to be better moving forward?
It's hard to pick out one area, right? I think for us, we talk about playing 48 one-minute games, and so for us, just resetting after every single minute, right? Get the next ground ball, get the next stop, get the next goal. And so for us to put 48 minutes, complete 48 minutes is going to be important moving forward. But that's something that we've been focused on, and we just haven't executed at a high enough level of winning each individual minute to come away with the win. But through these next 3 weeks, like I said earlier, individually we're going to put the work in to be able to come together and put 48 minutes, complete 48-minute team effort. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it feels really good to get that first win, especially coming back from a long block season. Last week, it just felt like we were just out of sorts. So to kind of get our feet under us and to really just start to fire on all cylinders, it felt good.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Josh. Joe Keegan with the PLL. Blaze said on the defensive end, confrontation to him means enforcing when somebody comes across the middle, putting them on the ground. Offensively, what does confrontation mean to you?
It's just, for us, it means sticking up for our teammates. There's a couple of times last week where a couple of guys got blown up, and there was just zero reaction to it. And our group, I don't know if we were stunned or what it was, but it was something that I looked back on, and I was kind of frustrated with us and myself in particular. Listen, we're not tough guys, but at the end of the day, we got to stick up for our teammates, and if we feel like it's necessary, then we'll step in.
We'll take one more question for Josh.
Josh Kevin Brown from Minneapolis Lacrosse here. Just how much was last week kind of clouded more the mental side rather than the kind of physical beating you take from a grueling NLL season? How hard was it just to mentally get over the Bandits loss?
It's tough, right? When you work hard for 6 months of the year for one goal, and you come within one game of getting that goal and meeting that, and just succeeding as a team, it's extremely frustrating, and it takes a lot on you emotionally. So I talked with Towers a little bit after the game. It just felt like emotionally it was tough to kind of get into that game, and that's no excuse. We're professionals here, and we can't come to a game and be unprepared like that. So like I said, I'm really proud of us for bouncing back this game, especially our defense. Our defense played unreal. Blaze stood on his head. Face-off guy going down, and CJ and Rowlett stepping up, and just really fighting Kelly and Woodall for those ground balls, and some big goals in transition as well. So super proud of our group from head to toe.
Thanks, Josh.
I guess my thought going into sort of the mid-season break here is that everything happens for a reason. Nothing is a coincidence. We are where we're supposed to be. And there's a lot of lessons to learn from this first half of the season, but I've said it plenty of times. I trust our system, I trust our coaches, I trust my teammates, and I think our potential. We haven't shown how good we really are yet, and I'm looking forward to the next half of the season. This back end of the season because of that reason. So, at the end of the day. It is what it is, but there's a lot to learn from this, and there's still a lot for us to prove.
We'll open up for questions.
Lyle, Kevin Brown from Inside Lacrosse here. Just looked like you pulled up a little bit there after your first shot. Just how much did that hinder your ability to dodge the rest of the game, and how are you feeling now?
Yeah, still not feeling super strong or anything like that, but it sort of held me up in terms of dodging, carrying the ball. Obviously, you didn't see me carrying the ball too much. I played more of an off-ball role, did what I could for the team, and obviously just wanted to step on the field and help where I could, take advice from coaches, and just be there for the guys. I think Dren really stepped up, and he can continue to do that. He can continue to really fill a ball carrying spot like that, and he's good at it. Ash played good. I think we got a lot of good guys that stepped up, but it's good that we have a little bit of a break here so that I can have a few weeks here to get healthy.
Hey, Lyle, Joe Keegan with the PLL. You mentioned that we haven't seen this team ceiling. In your eyes, like what are some of the things, or some of the who are some of the guys who are playing at a high level when this team does down the road hit that ceiling that you alluded to?
I think it's playing within the system, but I think Ryan Drenner's going to be a huge part of it. Rafis, Asher Nolan, as an offense, those guys are key parts of the offense, and like I said, I think I can really play a bigger role, a more important role, and help the team out in a bigger way. I don't want to sit here and make any excuses, but That's why I say I look forward to the next half of the season, because I don't want to sit here and talk about it. I want to go out there, and I'm excited to prove that we can put together 48 minutes, and we are going to be a fun team to watch, and we can dominate games. It's hard to win in this league, but we have a good squad, and I don't think there's one game that we've really shown it, and that's including the first game.
We'll take one more question for Lyle.
Lyle, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. You mentioned Asher Nolting earlier. He's moved down to attack now. You guys' chemistry has seemed to pop off a little bit more. How exciting has it been playing with him? And just talk a little bit about Asher.
Yeah, Asher's a good player. He's got a high lacrosse IQ, especially with the ball. He knows how to read a slide, when it's coming, how it's coming, and then where to push the ball to from there. So I think that's his sort of lacrosse superpower, is the ability to be physical with the defender, but also find where the ball needs to go so that it can end up in the back of the net. He's really good at reading a defense, so it's been fun playing with him, and watching him sort of develop as a pro. He's played better and better as the season goes on, and he's learning more and more, especially over the past few games with me being less of a dodger and him carrying the ball. It's allowed an opportunity for him to be more of a distributor, and it's been fun to watch, fun to be a part of.
Thanks, Lyle. Appreciate it.
I loved our intensity and our compete level at both ends of the field. We asked our defense for an uptick in energy, intensity, and we wanted a confrontation at that end. And I felt that our guys really delivered for 4 quarters in the heat against, a really tough Cannons team that just continued to fight all the way through to the end. I loved what we were able to do on the offensive end. We shared the ball, we moved the ball. Credit Nick Morocco, he made some incredible saves. He really did. But I love the fact that our offense stayed disciplined. They stayed within scheme. We try to leverage their unique skill sets and their creativity, and we try to create enough scheme where they're supported, but not micromanaged. And clearly, this was the best offense that we've played during the season so far, and we didn't really finish that well. I don't know what the final score was, 12-10, something like that. But I felt like we left 4 goals or so on the field, but not because of us not running our offense or making undisciplined decisions. It was really a reflection upon us, normally putting away a few shots that we didn't save, that we didn't put away. But credit Nick Morocco, he made some incredible saves. But that was both ends. I got to say, Blaze Reardon was phenomenal today. Showed why he's the best player in the world. And you look at the work of CJ Costabile, Jack Rowlett, once Jerry Raganese went down, who really competed for us well in the first quarter and a half, but just couldn't go. The uptick in the quality of the performance at the X from CJ and Jack in particular, going against a really hot duo in Stephen Kelly and Woodall, I felt like we did it in all facets of the game. And frankly, yeah, you want to win big, but for this team, winning a tight game against a really tough opponent that showed a ton of character and fought every step of the way, I'm not so sure that this isn't a better way for us to get our first victory.
Awesome. We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Andy, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Offensively, spacing this week looked a little different. Looked like whether it was Kyle Jackson catching with that Twizzler finish or some of the backdoor cuts by Dane, by others. What were the keys to creating that space inside for this offense this week?
Well, I think the first thing is, you sort of put the emotional hangover of the disappointment of the NLL final behind us as it relates to, a big part of our offensive group. And I think getting a week away from that was critical for us. I think having everybody at practice, both the day before as well as through the walkthrough this week was critical. we were able to learn a lot from our film versus the Water Dogs. And quite frankly, we felt like we lacked connection and we lacked intensity on the defensive end, and we felt like offensively we were just a little bit off. It seemed like, the fact that we hadn't played together out on the field and hadn't practiced a lot showed. It really showed. We were just a little off. We had some uncharacteristic stick mistakes last week. And this week we were very conscious to be less predictable schematically. We did a few different things, but I have to say, you're dealing with these guys that are incredibly skilled. They're incredibly competitive. They're super unselfish. And quite frankly, they were disciplined in executing their respective spots within the scheme. And when you do those things together and you play fast, good things are going to happen. Opportunities are going to present themselves. And I felt like we capitalized on a lot, but I still felt like we left a couple of goals on the field.
Hey, AT, it's KB. You and I have talked in the past about you putting this puzzle together of piecing, the right roster for the right week. And this week you guys have 11 guys on the score sheet with at least 1 point. Can you just talk about, earlier you said you guys really move the ball well, and I feel like this offense really gets going when you guys are able to move the ball, spread it around, and get as many guys involved as possible, because then those defenses don't really know who to match up against. To get 11 guys on the score sheet, like you said, 1 week removed of finally getting everybody back, what's that say to, just the discipline of this offense?
I think it speaks to the quality of the people on our team and in our locker room. Last year we were able to accomplish our only goal, and that was to win the championship. And the way that we were able to do it was simply by prioritizing unselfishness ahead of everything else. And even though our offense was noticeably better today, I think our defense was equally noticeably better. And, I credit the unselfishness. Guys aren't concerned with who they're covering. They're concerned about us playing together as a group on the defensive end, and on the offensive end, guys aren't concerned with who's scoring or who's playing where or who's on power play and who's not. They're concerned with winning, and they understand that our greatest chance to win in a league where wins are really hard to come by is having a foundation of unselfishness and fusing that together with intensity and doing it for 4 quarters. And we were able to do that, and I think we were able to take control of our season with this win. And even though we're 1-4, we are on a 1-game winning streak, and we got a few other teams that also have the same record, and we're just getting started.
We'll take one more question for Coach.
Coach TJ here with Outside the Box podcast. There was a point in that second and third quarter where the offense kind of slowed down and almost went dead. What was the vibes like on the sideline, and what kind of was the offense saying and doing to work through those problems? And kind of what are you guys going to do in the future to avoid that?
Well, it's simple. The reason that we stopped scoring is because they dominated the faceoffs. We just didn't have the ball. That was the lull. So we had no lapse in our confidence in what we were doing on the offensive end. We felt that we were getting high quality opportunities. And again, I felt like, we scored some great goals, but I also felt like Morocco made some great saves and we didn't bury some opportunities that we expect to bury. But the fact that we went cold, so to speak, was really a reflection of the fact that we didn't have the ball. And when we were able to get the ball with consistency in the second half, with CJ and Jack doing such a good job at the X, the scoring picked back up. Honestly, Jerry Raganese, I can't say enough about him being such a warrior. For a guy that played his last game in 2019, ironically, when he was on the Redwoods and we played against us out in San Jose, this is a guy that's made a living at being an expert at facing off. And he did an incredible job for us, but he pulled his hamstring. And as much as he was dying to go back in, we had to protect him from himself and make a decision that we were going to go with the Poles. But Jerry found out that he was going to be in the roster in an emergency situation because Tommy Kelly had a family situation where he was unable to travel last minute. And Tommy Kelly's been an unbelievable shot in the arm for this team. I could make an argument that through the first 4 games of the year, Tommy Kelly's been arguably our team MVP. And so with him being unable to travel and Jerry getting the nod and playing in his first game in 3 seasons and scoring a goal as well as competing at the X, it was unbelievable. Now with that said, we go into a bye week, the All-Star game, and let's not forget Max Adler, who was the best face-off guy in the world through the playoffs last summer. He comes back to us with 5 weeks of resting a hamstring that he hurt in the NLL finals. And so we're very optimistic that we won't find ourselves in a lack of possession situation moving ahead. But we got to go out and hit the shots.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Chris.
First win of the year. Obviously, it's been a long 5 weeks, but to come together and battle some adversity as a team and go out and I think we outworked them for 48 minutes and to squeeze one out against a great team is a good step forward for this team.
We're open up for questions.
Blaze coming around from inside Lacrosse here. Just how important was it to get this win for the All-Star break here?
It's huge. It's tough as it is to sit around for a week after losing a game and then you lose the amount that we've lost. And, going into a 3-week break, essentially 2 weekends in 3 weeks, it was important for us to, take the right step forward and, kind of put ourselves in a position to control our own destiny. And we know, after this break, it's a 4-game sprint and we got to continue to put wins together in order to, find a spot into that playoffs and then, make another run. So today was huge for us. I don't want to say it was do or die, but that was the mentality going into this one.
Hey Blaze, Joe Keegan with the PLL. Coach Towers spoke about confrontation. What does confrontation mean to you?
Just showing up and wanting to play. This is a contact sport, and we've kind of made it an identity. I wouldn't say we're the bad boys, but we're definitely a team that if guys get to the middle of our defense, that we want to put them on the ground. And offensively, we got big bodies, and we want to engage in what he calls conflict, which is the physical aspect of this game and kind of wear teams down. And, then that trickles down to, the hard work and making those little hustle plays in between. And I think you saw that today, at the face-off X battling there. And, a couple huge ground balls, off the ground that in a game where possession's so important. And I felt like the possession was tilted in their favor most of the game. Every single one of those little plays matter in a 2-goal win.
Hey, Blaze, Jack Goods here from USA Lacrosse Magazine. I think it obviously looked a lot better than it did last week when you got all those guys back. Do you think it just took a little bit of time to get everything to kind of mesh together again?
Yeah, there's no other professional sports organizations or players that play the game 11 and a half months out of the year. And, we had every excuse in the book, but that's not who we are. And obviously it took a little bit for those guys to adjust. And, we talked about not taking anything away from, last week, the team that we played against, they came out and fired. And we put that one in the rearview mirror. And we had a little swagger and arrogance to our locker room. And, reminded ourselves that this is a championship locker room. This is championship talent. And without the hard work and confrontation for today, none of that matters. So to stick to the game plan and execute and come out with a win is huge.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a big one for us. Going down in the fourth, battling back, tie game. Those are the ones where you look back on the season and it's a momentum swing and a change in our season.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Kieran. Joe Keegan with the PLL. Your first point today, your 361st of your career, moved you into 14th all time. You passed Ryan Powell today. How special is that career milestone for you?
I think it's pretty special. I don't know if it means that I'm old or I've been playing for many years, but I took a look at that list after I saw Will and Marcus enter the top 10, and
honestly didn't even realize I was that high, and seeing the names on there, it's pretty special, being up that high and, continuing to play the game at a high level.
Hey, Kieran, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Now, back-to-back wins for you guys going into the All-Star break. How do you guys, hold on to that momentum that you've built over the last 2 weeks going into a 3-week lull and then coming out second half of the season in Connecticut, trying to build upon, what you guys have been able to accomplish these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously 3 weeks off is tough, but, a few guys are nicked up and we'll get back to full strength. And, we just got to keep on hammering film, getting better each time, continuing to build here. I mean, I think if you look at all 5 games, we've had, all close games besides for the first one, and, it's huge to pull out one like that.
We'll take one more question for Kieran.
Kieran, you had or DJ from Outside the Box podcast. You had another good game today. You had an awesome game last year in Minneapolis. What is it about going to Minneapolis and playing there that brings out the best in you?
I don't know. I mean, it's a pretty awesome venue. Having everything in the central location, and I don't really know what it is, but it must be something in the water here. But I don't hate it. So hopefully we'll be back here next year.
Awesome. Thanks, Kieran.
Appreciate it, guys.
Jake Withers still kind of remains our primary guy, but we were really fortunate to be able to grab Tucci off the waivers, and in lieu of Jake's injury, you understand how kind of lopsided these games can become if all of a sudden you don't really have a dynamic face-off guy. And I don't know what his percentage was today, nor do I really care, frankly. I just think he's an elite athlete and he's an elite competitor, and that stuff is really contagious, and it's just important to the culture of a locker room. So he checks every box for kind of what we would look for in terms of who we want to bring into this Water Dogs Lacrosse Club.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
I think anytime you can go out, and I think the Whip Snakes are kind of the standard of the league, and so to go out and get a win, but not only get a win in that fashion where, it's back and forth, and to pull it out at the end, like 3 weeks ago back in Charlotte, that was the exact game that we lost. So I think we definitely took a couple steps forward today. And as a team, we're just going to keep continuing to get better the more we play with each other.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Michael, Joe Keegan with the PLL. The Whip Snakes defense inside did a good job of limiting Ryan Brown's shooting opportunities, collapsing on him and filling the crease. Does that put more pressure on you as a Dodger? Last week we saw you feeding Ryan Brown. This week you kind of had to go to the goal as a goal scorer.
Yeah, I don't know about more pressure. I think that it definitely changes your mentality a little bit in the sense that you go from head up to, okay, I know that they're not going. I got to go for myself. And I think on that note, it makes it a little bit easier. It's not going to show up in the stat sheet, but every time Connor Kelly sets a pick, I get my hands free. And same thing with Kieran. Our middies, the way that they set picks, you don't even have to dodge. All you have to do is really run at the net. And I think with those guys, like I said, they should count those picks as assists because, we basically aren't even dodging and getting our hands free. And when they're not sliding, especially those picks at GLE, it puts a lot of pressure on them.
Hey, Michael, it's Kyle Bennett from the Outside the Box podcast. Obviously, this was the first rematch game of the season between any two teams. It's been a little chippy out there with you guys in the Whip Snakes. Can you just talk about, just the intensity of playing them? Like you brought up them being the gold standard of the leagues at this point still. What is it about, you guys going head to head that, kind of brings out that aggressiveness and that chippiness?
Yeah, I think that they just play really hard. They do a lot of things really well, but I think one of those things is they're tough on the ground. They're tough in between the lines. Their defense is kind of the standard as well, the way that they move as a unit. Naturally you're going to get beat up, especially if you go across the middle. So I think that they're a physical team by nature, and I think we are as well. And so you kind of saw that playing out tonight.
We'll take one more question from Michael.
Michael, DJ here from Outside the Box podcast. Your defense was absolutely suffocating today, and Dylan Ward had an amazing game in net. Mac DeLuca came in and played well as well. When they're playing that great, what does it do for you guys on offense? Like, how easy is it to play on offense when your defense is playing that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's like a calming presence. You know, like when you have confidence in your defense, and I hope they feel the same way about us. Like you just can kind of settle in and play your game. It's never like we got to score here, you know, or we got to take advantage of this opportunity. It's just like we play out the possession, you know, and like there is no external pressure of like we know we got to get to 17, 16 goals to win because like on a defense like the Whips, like you're probably not going to get there. So to have them down there, it's just a calming presence.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
You know, it's like a lot of these games, right? It was a competitive game. Certainly, you know, they competed hard and played hard. You know, I felt like, again, our inconsistencies kind of caught up to us today. I don't think we're very consistent on the offensive end. Honestly, we didn't win. I felt like they won more of their matchups against us offensively, and I don't think we really won any of our matchups, at least from the attack, against them tonight. We did, you know, we've been living on the edge. We created some opportunities. We didn't shoot particularly well, but there were times where we created offense. But you know, that being said, we've got to be more efficient on the offensive end. Honestly, we did a nice job defensively tonight, and Kyle played very well.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Coach. Joe Keegan with the PLL. Every game so far this season, all 5 games, you've trailed at halftime, and this was the first time that you didn't complete the comeback. Was there anything different or any specific area where that comeback fell short today?
Well, you know, we did a really nice job all night at the X. I believe they won, you know, the first 3 faceoffs of the fourth quarter, and I think we turned the ball over 3 or 4 times out of our first 5 or 6 possessions in that quarter, and you know, I think that tilted the field back towards the Water Dogs. We played a good third quarter. We played fast. The ball moved. It didn't die in anyone's stick, and I felt like at times in the fourth quarter the ball died in some of our guys' sticks, and you know, it led to some turnovers, and you know, we didn't do what we needed to do to win the game in the fourth quarter, and they did.
Hey, Coach, it's Kyle Bennett. You know, a couple new pieces in the lineup for you tonight with Jackson Reed, with Keegan Kahn kind of contributing on the offensive side. Can you just talk about, you know, some of these new pieces that you've been able to kind of slot into the lineup and get a look at for the first time, and how you feel they'll, you know, move forward with you guys offensively in the lineup in the second half of the season?
Well, Jackson had won a spot in the lineup in training camp, and he played in our first game. He just wasn't available for the last couple of weeks. So, you know, moving him back in, you know, he gives us, you know, he's slick. He can play the 2-man game. You know, we're pretty comfortable with him going forward. I had said all along that, you know, at least before this break, I'd like to, you know, to give a couple guys an opportunity so we could see and evaluate them going into the second half of the season. You know, I still think we have some evaluating to do. But, you know, again, I think we're fortunate. We have some depth in quality of depth. And, you know, you know, we're still evaluating. I think you can still see out there we're not quite in sync yet. Zed's not, you know, where we need Zed to be yet, coming off a long indoor season, and you know, we're just and because of you know, some of those things, we've been pretty inconsistent on the offensive end.
We'll take one more question for Coach.
Coach, DJ here with Outside the Box podcast. You guys started the game 0 for 20 and eventually ended up finishing the first half. I think it was 3 or 4 for 30 around there. Was that really a credit to, you know, Jay Carlson not being in the lineup, being a reserve, and the offense having some trouble figuring themselves out? Or was it really just how aggressive their defense was and Dylan Ward playing so well in net?
Well, we got 30 shots. and we got 30 good shots. Not good. We had 30 shots. Doesn't matter who's shooting the shots, right? We didn't finish them. We created the opportunities and didn't finish them. I don't know that Jay Carlson has anything to do with that, honestly. We had some pretty good players who were in positions to finish, and we didn't. It's probably a credit to the way Dylan Ward plays. We hit him a bunch, plays a high crease, and we started to shoot around him a little bit more in the third quarter. When you have 25 shots in the first half, and many of them were good shots, we just didn't finish the ball, and we haven't shot well all year. We're in the lowest, one of the bottom 2 in the league in shooting percentages. So, that's something we got to get better at.
Thanks, Coach.
We've been really living on the edge the last few weeks, and obviously a lot of one-goal games, and another one-goal game for us, and it just went the other way for us. And I thought we did a great job at the face-off X, and Kyle did a really great job of keeping us in the game. So, we can't really rely on those guys every week, and we really need to step it up all around the field. So, we got to really take these next few weeks, look ourselves in the mirror, and come back firing.
We'll open up for questions.
Hey, Michael, Joe Keegan with the PLL. A couple guys have stepped up in transition and more like semi-transition, like that slow break type offense. Brad Smith buried a 2-pointer off a pick from you. Connor Kurse got an early goal. What have you seen from some of those young midfielders stepping up and filling the shoes of the roles that John Haas has played that have been so meaningful to this team?
Yeah, and Kamish and Connor Kurse had a hell of a game today. We asked a lot of them. Obviously, we had a last-minute scratch and Tyler Warner, and we're dealing with some injuries with Jake Bernhard, and they did a really great job, and we were trying to put them in the best position to be successful. And Connor Kurse just continues getting better and better every week, and filling some of those voids that we were missing. And Brennan Kamish, he's been a great addition for us in the D-midi spot. And we asked a lot of those guys tonight, and they really stepped up, and we were playing with 18 guys, and they had a lot of runs out there. So they getting their experience super quick, and they're going to keep growing and be great for us down the stretch.
Hey, Mike, it's Kyle Bennett. 3 weeks off now, heading into the All-Star break. What's kind of the game plan, you being one of the leaders on this team, to kind of keep everybody still in a flow, still communicating throughout the All-Star break to get ready to come out with a big second half starting off in Connecticut at the end of July?
Yeah, obviously we're halfway through the season now, and I thought Matt Dunn he had a great speech in the locker room after the game. And for us, we've been living on the edge, like I said earlier, with some of these one-goal games, and we can't win, keep winning like that. So obviously we got a few guys going to play in the sixes, and so we're going to ship. There's a bunch of guys in the league playing in that, so they're going to playing plenty of lacrosse, and we got some guys banged up right now. So we've got to get healthy these next 2-3 weeks and be ready for Fairfield. But it's for us, most importantly, we really got to look ourselves in the mirror and realize there's so much more that we can do out there and play together like a team, and it's all over the field. Like I said earlier, we've been relying a ton on Joe Nardella and Kyle Brenlar. They've been having a hell of a season. So we just got to get everyone healthy, get our roster together, and we just got to be firing on all cylinders down the stretch.
We'll take one more question.
Michael, DJ here from Outside the Box podcast. You've had another great start to another year, and assuming you make All-Star game again this year like you've done in the past, what are you most looking forward to for that weekend in Boston?
Yeah, the All-Star game's a great weekend, and you get the best of the best that show up that weekend, and it's just a fun weekend to kind of kick it back and go out there and have some fun and try some new things out there. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple new rules that they try to throw in there and tweak, but it's a celebration for the league and a good start to the year, and hopefully we put on a good show for the fans, and honestly, that's the most important thing for us. The fans, they've done it's been awesome the first 5 weeks. All the fans that have showed out. So hopefully we continue that in the second half of the year and with the All-Star game, and we continue the success that we're having.
Thanks, Michael.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.